I want to start today's deep dive with a concept that, well, it usually belongs in the fantasy section of the bookstore, not the business section.
Okay, intrigued.
But stick with me because this has everything to do with your Q1 revenue targets. I want to talk about magic, specifically the magic of J.K. Rowling.
I love this angle. It's a bit of a curveball. Because when most people think of Harry Potter, they think of this lightning strike of inspiration.
Exactly.
Like she was just sitting on a train, the idea popped into her head, and boom, billionaire author.
Right. We look at the result, the books, the movies, the theme parks, this whole empire, and we call it magic. But we're looking at the wrong thing. I was reading through our source material today, a really insightful piece called Plan for Business Success by Nathan Davis from the Sales Experts. And it turns out Harry Potter wasn't magic at all. It was a masterclass in logistics and planning.
It really was. And that's the hook for today, isn't it? We're looking at why most organizations fail at planning and, crucially, how to fix it. So if you're a sales leader, a hiring manager, or an executive listening to this, you probably have a number hanging over your head right now.
Oh, for sure.
And the real question is, are you relying on magic to hit it, or do you actually have a system?
So let's unpack this Rowling example because the details in the source are, they're kind of mind-blowing. Did you know she spent 5 full years, developing the wizarding world before the first book was even finished?
5 years. Let's pause on that. That is a lifetime in the business world.
It is.
That's 20 quarters. And she wasn't just, staring at a wall waiting for a muse. She was building systems, creating rules for magic, histories for characters, mapping out the entire logic of the world.
She built the infrastructure before she built the product.
Exactly. She didn't just write a story. She built a container for this story to live in.
And here's the stat that really, really got my attention. She rewrote the first chapter or, sections of the manuscript up to 15 times.
15 times. Now let's pivot that to sales. Imagine a sales leader or maybe a founder launching a new product or opening a new territory. Do they refine their opening pitch 15 times? Do they stress test their go-to-market strategy 15 times before they even pick up the phone?
Usually. Absolutely not. Usually it's, we need revenue, here's a slide deck, go sell it, we'll figure it out as we go.
Precisely. And that is the core tension we're exploring today. When Nathan Davis, the author of our source, calls this the difference between the magic and the world building.
Right.
Most sales leaders want the magic, the closed deals, the growth, without the world building, which is the process, the discipline, and the planning.
It's this illusion of luck. We see the success and we just assume it happened. But the source material makes a really interesting comparison here to another professional speakers.
Oh, this is a ratio that every executive should, have tattooed on their arm. The source notes that for a professional speaker, the standard discipline is 1 hour of practice for every 1 minute they're on stage.
Whoa, let's do the math on that. If you're giving a 60-minute keynote,
you're putting in 60 hours of preparation. That's rehearsal, refining the slide deck, timing the jokes, checking the tech. 60 hours.
For 1 hour of delivery, that is a staggering amount of hidden work.
And the contrast the source draws here is, well, it's pretty savage. It compares that level of rigor to how businesses launch products.
Night and day.
It's completely night and day. Companies will push services to market or push sales teams out into the field without anywhere near that level of discipline. I mean, they're essentially walking onto the stage without knowing their lines.
Hoping the audience, the market, will just applaud anyway because they showed up.
Exactly. It's wild.
It really highlights this winging it epidemic. And that leads us right to the second big nugget from this deep dive. When Nathan Davis isn't just theorizing here, he's writing from 25 years of experience in direct sales and consulting.
Right. He's been in the trenches.
And his verdict on the state of business planning is, well, it's not great.
No, it's actually quite alarming. He says that after 25 years, the one clear fact is that most organizations spend shockingly little time on business planning.
Shockingly little.
And here's the paradox, and I really want you to think about your own budgets right now. Companies will invest massive amounts of money and effort over years to execute a strategy. They'll hire people, rent offices, buy software.
All the inputs.
All of it. But the actual planning, the strategic blueprint, it gets a few minutes of attention per year.
That's the minutes versus years paradox. It's like we're too busy chopping down the tree to sharpen the axe.
Exactly. And the source highlights a very specific area where this lack of planning just destroys value. Onboarding.
Oh, this one hit home, the sales training gap.
Right. I mean, think about the investment in hiring a new salesperson. You've got recruitment fees, interviews, salary benefits, a huge cost.
Huge.
And yet the source points out that new salespeople often get only a few hours of onboarding.
A few hours.
Yeah.
Here's your laptop, here's the CRM login, good luck.
And the consequence, as Win Nathan Davis puts it, is that you're leaving results to chance instead of process. You're just rolling the dice.
And if you aren't planning the training.
You are planning for mediocrity. That's the hard truth. If you treat onboarding as just a checklist item instead of a strategic process, you're essentially telling your new hire, hey, we expect average results from you.
So, okay, we've established that relying on magic is a bad strategy and that most of us are probably guilty of underplanning. So how do we fix it?
The solution.
The source material pivots here to the solution, the strategic business plan. But before everyone's eyes glaze over imagining some 100-page document that sits in a drawer.
Yeah, let's clarify.
Let's clarify what plan actually means in this context.
This is critical. A strategic plan, according to the sales experts, is not a static document. It is a working document.
Which means?
It means it lives, it breathes, it gets coffee stains on it. It must be continuously reviewed.
I see.
If you write a plan in January and don't look at it again until December, that's not a plan, that's a souvenir.
I love that. A souvenir of what you thought the year was going to be.
Exactly. And a real plan aligns your sales strategy with long-term growth. It's not just about how do we hit the number this month. It's how does hitting the number this month set us up for next year.
This source also mentions the timeline specifically. It talks about detailing how to get from year 1 to years 2 and 3.
Yes, and this is where that world building comes back in.
Wow.
You need realistic assumptions.
Yeah.
You can't just put a hockey stick graph on a slide and call it a day.
Right.
You have to map out the actual steps. If we want X revenue in year 3, well, we probably need Y headcount in year 2, which means we need Z training program in year 1. It's all connected.
There's another element here that I think is really valuable for the leaders listening. The source recommends involving outside professionals.
Yes, this is a big one.
So why? Is that just a pitch for consultants?
Well, partially, maybe, but there's a deeper psychological reason. It's about fresh perspective and accountability. Look, when you're inside the bottle, you can't read the label. You're just too close to your own product, your own team, your biases. You can't always see the holes in your own plan.
That's a great line. You can't see the holes in your own plan. An outsider looks at it and asks, hey, what happens if this one assumption is wrong? And suddenly you realize you have no backup.
Exactly. And accountability is huge.
Yeah.
It's easy to let a plan slide when it's just you holding yourself accountable. It's much harder when you have an outside pro asking, hey, you said you'd do this by Q2, so why hasn't it happened?
Okay, I want to get tactical. We promised actionable insights. The source material provides a checklist. And I want to do this interactively. If you are listening right now, maybe you're driving, maybe you're at the gym, I want you to mentally check yes or no to these 6 questions.
Let's do it. This is the sales leader's checklist for business success.
Question number 1. Do I actually have a business plan?
And be honest. Not an idea in your head. A real documented plan.
Question 2. Is it current and actively used?
Actively used is the key phrase there. Is it open on your desk right now?
Question number 3. Does it guide my daily decisions and long-term direction?
This is the litmus test. When you have a tough decision to make, hiring, firing, pricing, do you look at the plan for guidance? Or do you just react?
Number 4. Does it detail goals for years 1, 2, and 3?
Again, looking beyond the current quarter, that long-term vision.
Question 5. Have my assumptions been tested and validated?
That's the 15 rewrites part, right? Have you actually stress-tested your logic?
And finally, number 6. Has the plan been reviewed by an outside professional?
That fresh perspective we were just talking about.
So how did you do? Did you get 6 out of 6, or are there some gaps?
I'm betting most people will have gaps, and that's okay, as long as you recognize them. The real danger is when you have gaps and you just pretend they don't exist.
There is a contextual note in the source that I think makes this checklist even more urgent right now. There's a mention of the hiring window.
Yes, the January-March window. The source identifies this as the most important hiring window of the year.
Why is that specific window so critical?
It's all about ramp-up time. If you hire in Q1, you have a chance of that person becoming productive and actually contributing to revenue within this fiscal year.
Okay, that makes sense.
If you wait until Q2 or Q3, you're essentially hiring for next year. So if you don't have your plan locked down now, You're going to miss that window.
And you won't know who to hire, or you'll just onboard them poorly because you're rushing.
Right. If you don't have the world building done, the comp plans, the territory maps, the training materials, you're just bringing people into chaos.
And talented people do not stay in chaos.
They leave. And then you're back to square one, but with a lot of lost time and money.
It all circles back to preparation. You know, we started with J.K. Rowling. Imagine if she had tried to publish the first draft of that first chapter without doing the work.
It would have been a forgettable story about a kid on a train. It wouldn't have resonated. The magic wasn't just in the idea, it was in the execution of the idea.
And the execution was born from the planning.
Exactly.
So, what does this all mean for the sales leaders listening? I think it means we need to stop glorifying the hustle of winging it and start glorifying the quiet hard work of planning.
We need to shift the culture. We tend to reward the firesider, the person who swoops in and saves the deal at the very last minute.
Right, the hero.
The hero. But we should be rewarding the fire marshal, the person who built the building so it wouldn't catch fire in the first place.
That is a powerful analogy, the fire marshal versus the firefighter.
And look, planning is hard work. It's
Yeah.
mental heavy lifting. It's much easier to just answer emails and take calls all day. But as Nathan Davis points out, planning is the high leverage activity.
It's the one activity that makes all the other activities easier.
Precisely. If you have a clear plan, you know exactly who to hire, you know what to train them on, you know which customers to target, you stop guessing.
And you stop relying on luck.
You stop relying on luck.
I want to revisit that quote from the source, from Henry David Thoreau. It feels really appropriate here.
Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you have imagined.
It's a classic quote, but in this business context, it takes on a whole different meaning. You can only go confidently if you actually have a map.
That's right. Confidence comes from competence, and competence comes from preparation. If you don't have a plan, you aren't moving confidently. You're just stumbling in the dark, hoping you don't hit a wall.
And living the life you have imagined, that's the vision, that's the year 3 goal. But you have to imagine it in detail. You have to build the world.
You have to do the rewrites.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's just recap the mission.
The mission is to move from winging it to sustainable growth. The takeaway is that planning doesn't guarantee success. I mean, markets change, things happen, but the lack of planning almost always guarantees failure.
Or at best, mediocrity. And nobody wants to be the leader of a mediocre team.
No, you want to be the top 1%.
So here is my challenge to you, the listener. We talked about J.K. Rowling rewriting her opening 15 times. When was the last time you rewrote your sales process?
Oof.
When was the last time you tore it down and built it back up to make sure it actually works?
That is a scary question to ask, but it's the necessary one. If your sales process is just what we've always done, it's probably time for a rewrite.
Absolutely. And if you're realizing that maybe your world building isn't quite up to scratch, or you need that outside professional perspective to spot the holes in your plan, the source for today's deep dive is a great place to start.
When Nathan Davis and the team at the Sales Experts, they focus exactly on this, helping you build that top 1% team and achieve real sales success.
You can find them at thesalesexperts.com. That's thesalesexperts.com. Go check out their insights, maybe read the full article, and see where your planning stacks up.
And remember, failing to plan is planning to fail. It's a cliche for a reason. It's true.
Don't let your Q1 revenue be a roll of the dice. Build the plan, work the plan.
And go create your own magic.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.